All right, we are live for our thought for the week. When my bubby, my grandmother, was alive, Zichronah Livracha, and I'd be going to Israel, we'd play what we called in my family the "Do they have that in Israel" game. Do they have bread there? Like sliced bread? Do they have like the real good Jewish rye? Can you get a corned beef sandwich? Do they have fruit there? Well, what kind of fruits do they have? Like apples? What about bananas? I used to laugh so hard at these questions because for me, especially someone who spent so much time in Israel, they were really kind of silly questions, almost ridiculous. Of course they have fruit, the best fruits and vegetables. Of course there's sliced bread. My bubby was born in 1922. When the state of Israel was founded, she was already an adult. In 1948, when Israel was declared a state, she was already a married woman working in an office as a secretary. She'd made a life for herself and had a grasp on the world. For her, Israel was this magical, mystical place so far from her own life and consciousness. So she asked these questions to try to understand, to try to make the distance between her and Israel a little smaller, to try to wrap her arms around something that still felt new to her, that was not always a given in her world. Anyone under the age of 73 has the privilege of not knowing a world without a state of Israel. Anyone under 73 has only lived in a world in which Israel exists. And truly, I believe that's a privilege, one that we shouldn't lose sight of or take for granted. Today is Yom HaZikaron, Israeli Memorial Day, the day in which we honor and memorialize those who gave their lives in defense of the state of Israel and those who lost their lives as civilian victims of terrorism. Tonight, as the sun sets, we'll begin Yom Ha'atzmaut, Israeli Independence Day, when we celebrate the anniversary of the establishment of the state of Israel in 1948. These two holidays exist in this beautifully complicated tension, acknowledging the loss with the gain, the two inextricably linked, forever reminding us that Israel's existence should not and cannot ever be taken for granted. That existing in a world with Israel doesn't mean it's done and over and set. There are thousands and thousands of people, largely young people, 18 years old, fresh out of high school, who continually put their lives on the line to ensure that we have a state of Israel, a Jewish homeland. For that, we are not only grateful, but can make the commitment to never lose sight of how unbelievably amazing it is that we have a Jewish nation with sliced bread. We'll sing the Israeli national anthem, Hatikva, the hope. Kol od balevav penima, nefesh Yehudi homiya, ufatei mizrach kadima, in Tzion Sophia, on love tikvatenu, hatikva bat shnot alpayim, liotam chofshi be'artzenu eretz Tzion v'Yerushalayim, liotam chofshi